Okay, we are live. All right, so to kick this off, I'll just do a very, very quick introduction. I'm Josh Taylor. I'm the founder and CEO of Product EVO. We're a product development firm that's been in business for about 7 years. And 2 years ago, I acquired another product development firm that's been around for about 17 years. So we've got deep expertise in developing products with a specific focus on taking them from the design engineering phase, starting with prototyping all the way through production. And then my co-host here is Jill Canales. And Jill, go ahead and introduce yourself. She's got deep expertise in product strategy and research.
Yeah, because I've been in product development for many decades. I don't want to say how many actually, about 3. But I spent time in consumer packaged goods, in furniture, in automotive. I've worked in every aspect from qual research to strategy to design, and also in the marketing of products. So yes, excited to be here and share with you all. Josh is going to lead today.
Yeah, so one of the things I'm going to ask, this is not mandatory, but it's a huge favor because this is a live learning lab. We want this to be interactive. I would love it if you guys would be brave and flip those cameras on so we can see your face and make sure that we're connecting. It helps us as presenters to know if the ideas are landing or if we're losing you in the dust. And yeah. We promise it's a kind, good place. So flip them on if you can. If you cannot, if you're not in a place where you can, that's fine. So what we're going to do is Jill's going to kick it off with just a fun question. We want this to be interactive. So we'll start with the question and we'll dig right in, and we're on a tight schedule. So we're just going to kind of get into the content of this as quickly as we can. But let's see, Jill, let me kick this up.
I always find it interesting to say, who am I here with and why are we here? So we're going to take a moment. You're going to be in breakout rooms of 2 people. Josh will put you in there and you just take 3 to 5 minutes and tell each other why you're here today. What drew you to this session, what you want to get out of it, and then we'll bring it back.
Okay, so breakout rooms. I'm actually going to put 3 of you in a big breakout room. And
I've got to go put a shirt on. It's very, very hot here, so I'll be right back.
I love it.
My life.
We're in Mill Valley. We're used to the fog this time of year, and it's blazing hot. So anyway, I'll be right back.
Okay.
Perfect. All right. I'm going to actually only give you guys 4 minutes. We're going to make this super fast. Okay, on your mark, get set, go.
You and my cam, I think, is not working as well. I'll probably have to restart my laptop in a couple minutes.
Oh no, you're fine. Where are you from?
I'm currently based in New Jersey. How about you?
Oh great, Lehigh, Utah.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, what do you do?
For the last couple of years, I've been running it's like a direct to consumer mechanical keyboard store.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, how about yourself?
I'm a product designer, so I've been doing mostly consulting, but I have a few of my own products that I work on as well.
Oh, that's awesome. I am envious of your skill set.
I'm envious of your skill set. So
yeah, my background's actually in software, and I just like earlier this year I was able to go full time into the keyboard shop, but I do work with a product designer that kind of like you has an expertise. How to estimate your competitors' sales or something like that. So that's another kind of interesting.
Mhm.
Yeah, how about you?
I need to know how to do better job at stuff other than just designing, because that's where the money falls flat, is if I can't sell things.
That makes sense. And have you worked with Product EVO in the past?
I've talked to them. I haven't actually used them yet because my stuff I usually do doesn't have high enough volumes to make sense.
Got it.
But yeah, so I've been in contact with them for a couple of years now.
Oh, nice.
Talk to them every once in a while, but hoping to scale up to where, excuse me, this kind of service makes more sense to me and them from kind of where I'm at with business wise. So
Got it. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I've sort of a few projects in the works with them, and it's been pretty
great.
helpful just because they kind of abstract away the need of like talking directly with some of these factories in China. So it's pretty
Awesome.
helpful.
Yeah, no, I'm in the middle of trying to get a stroller, either company built for a stroller or licensed. So I actually probably should talk to them again and see how much help they can give me.
Oh, nice. That sounds pretty interesting.
Yeah, and see if that's a good option. Thanks for reminding me about that one. Not that you directly reminded me, but yeah. So yeah, I'm excited to kind of see that through. Maybe trying to decide if there's a company that wants to help me start it off, and I'm not sure if I'm ready to spend the money for it.
Yeah, that's the challenge with me too, with especially with like plastics, making like the upfront cost. I kind of like aluminum sometimes just because of the like CNCing doesn't require that upfront cost.
Yeah, I actually recently just bought a big laser cutter so I can hopefully start
Oh, nice.
making parts that look like real things.
How are you? Thanks for joining us. You're muted.
I was excited.
Cool.
Brains in process.
What's that?
See the brains in process,
Yeah.
in action.
Yes, sir. All right, guys, I think we've got everybody back. Hopefully that wasn't too painful. We do find it's fun to kind of get to know who you're on this live learning lab with, just to kind of foster some interaction for the rest of the day. Let me ask you guys, what were one or two of the things that came up that you're hoping to learn today? And I'll pick on Christian. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Oh, sorry about that.
All good.
Yeah, one of the things that I mentioned during our chat was I think one of the topics mentioned was analyzing competitors and analyzing tools to help you analyze sales data from the industry. I thought would be really insightful.
Very cool. Yeah, we're definitely going to get into that. Raise your hand if you guys have your camera on, if that's something that you'd also like to dig into. Fantastic. I'll pick on one more just to make sure we're hitting this in the right way. Janine, what was one of the things you were hoping to learn today? And unmute you. There you go.
Yeah, I'm really just hoping to broaden my skills in terms of research and marketing. And there's so many different tools out there now. There's so many different sources, and to plug into some things that I might not be realize that are at my fingertips, that could be at my fingertips. So cool.
For sure. Amen to that. So you hit on something that's really big for us is, Jill and I, we actually argue a lot about the most critical tools, which is a healthy thing, I think, because there are so many tools, there's so many resources. We're definitely living in the information age, and then some. It can be problematic. So one of the things Jill and I regularly talk about is what are the essential few that actually move the needle? Like what are the critical few things and what's a framework to understand all that information in? So that's part of what we're hoping to present today, is a way to make sense of all the information that's out there and boil it down to the critical few things that actually drive value in a product that you want to create and launch. So with that, guys, let's go ahead and kick this off and dig right in. So I want to start with the cold, hard reality. Depending on which analytics you guys look at, between 80 to 95% of new products fail. So the Harvard Business Review reported that 95% of new products fail, and they said their number one attribution was no market research on the product or market had been done. And they're not alone. So CB Insights reports that 54% of new products fail because there was either no market need or there was a flawed business model to solve those needs. And then you've got Rachleff's law of startup success, where the law says that the number one company killer is lack of market. And this isn't a problem isolated to small companies. Big companies swing and miss all the time when it comes to understanding customer wants and customer needs. So just to kind of rattle off a few of the classic flops, you've got New Coke, the Amazon Fire Phone, Google Glass, GoPro, for whatever insane reason, thought they needed to launch an energy drink a few years back, and it was a massive failure. Google Plus, Microsoft Zune, that the unfortunate truth is the odds can be even worse for small, medium-sized companies, especially if we're in a high growth phase, because high growth demands a lot of capital and resources. And so we're typically stretching to do really good market research on limited budgets when we're in high growth phases. And that's the painful reality that we see. So Product EVO has been involved with hundreds of new products going to market in the last 7 years. And we've been lucky to see some really big successes, but a lot of them haven't been successful. What's heartbreaking is it's expensive and it's painful for everybody involved when a product doesn't go well, because between design, development, molds, inventory, sweat equity from the founder, it's not uncommon at all to put between 100K and 500K into a new product for a small, medium-sized company. It's a major investment, and it's painful to watch people burn their money when a lot of the mistakes, not all of them, but a lot of it is painfully preventable. So right now, we know you're focused. Most people on this call are probably focused on product research. But if you don't get this right in a year, what you're going to be focused on is trying to figure out how to sell a product that nobody wants. The last thing we want for anybody to have is a garage full of product that you can't sell. So one of our mantras here at Product EVO is slow is fast. We borrowed that from the Navy SEALs. Slow is smooth and smooth is fast. But when people come to us with an idea, they're typically so excited about it that all they want to do is jump into new product development as soon as possible. And they hate.
It's called inventor's bliss.
There it is. There it is. That's exactly it.
I'm a consultant. I've been consulting for about 20 years. I've done full time as well, but I've seen it time and time again, and I've tried to kind of tone people down a little bit. But when some people get so emotionally attached to their great idea, and it's painful to see them try and go forward.
Michael, I'm so glad you said that, because you nailed it. Like, I love the term inventor's bliss, and I might steal it from you because it captures it so well.
It's been around for a while.
All right. So so what we're hoping, if you guys will give us a few minutes today, we're going to share our unique approach that helps our clients seriously improve their chances of success and get to that end goal, which is a successful product faster than if you jump right into product development. And what we're going to teach you today are the things that we've honestly paid a pretty dear price to learn the hard way, or seen our clients pay a dear price to learn the hard way. So market research is just one small part of what it takes to be successful in new products, but we hope it's a really helpful starting point for your new journey. So our fundamental belief, this is something we share with all of our clients, is as a result of market research driven product strategy, you will be able to make good decisions early on based on data and not just assumptions or intuition. It will make every part of designing, launching, marketing, and selling a radically successful product easier. So let's get into the market research. We, I believe, are in the greatest period of innovation and growth that we'll experience in our lifetimes. And that's because crisis interrupts all patterns. And we've had multiple crises over the last 3 years. But just as everybody on this call has adapted to our changing circumstances, our customer needs have adapted too. So even if you're an existing business and had a pretty good idea of what your customers wanted, it's most likely their needs have adapted a bit. So that means the key to success moving forward is going to be identifying and staying in tune with what those needs are, and knowing how you can leverage your unique advantages to serve them better than anyone else. The way to succeed in today's overcrowded marketplace is to build something that 100 people love and not something that 100 people or 1,000,000 people kind of like. I love that quote from Brian Chesky. So we believe market research is your process of figuring out where that real passion and the real desperate needs already exist in the market. To kick things off, our mantra is no sacred cows. So most people start with inventor's bliss. You know, they're already excited about a product, and we're going to say time out for a minute. We know you probably have a product in mind, but my personal experience is I see way too many people fall in love with their idea and it makes them blind. So no sacred cows, follow the data. We believe in being a skeptical optimist, meaning you're going to look for new ways products can create value, but don't give any new product a free pass. You've got to be skeptical in order to bet things well, even of yourself. Be open to new ideas and new ways to achieve your company and customer goals, even if it means killing the idea you originally thought of. We believe in creating lasting value more than just finding the next big thing. So the people on this call, I know we've got a group of real founders. We've got product designers and engineers on this call, people that are putting their own time, their own money into these ideas. So don't get caught up in passing fads or in industries that don't have real business value. Look for creating value and you'll always win. So the first thing we want to get into today with market research is validating your target niche's vitality. We want to know, is the niche large enough? Is the niche stable? And is it expected to grow? Before I jump into this, I'm going to stop sharing my screen for just a second so I can see everybody's beautiful faces. Are you guys with me so far? I'm going kind of quick, but give me a nod or a thumbs up if you guys are following. Perfect. All right, we're going to just keep moving ahead. Okay, so in market research, one of the things that I want to stress is don't predict the future. We want to focus only on provable actual demand. You can find great opportunities that exist right now without trying to create demand in the future. All we're looking for is evidence that our hunches are right in areas that our competition is not aware of yet. We're looking to exploit existing demand, not create new demand. So I love this quote from Visualize Value. It's Jack Butcher, really fun guy to follow on Twitter and Instagram if you don't, but he says the demand for the thing the product does exists before the product. So we're just trying to uncover, like detectives, that existing demand. And then, you know, I like this simple graphic. What we're trying to do is validate, are assumptions right? Yes or no? Does the competition already know about them? Yes or no? And that sweet spot is something we're right about that the competitors don't quite know about yet. And so we're going to teach you ways to go upstream and figure out what the competition might not know yet. So coming back to the idea that we're not predicting the future, what we're doing is we're just moving, if you guys can see my cursor, we're just moving a little further upstream. And this is where the ideas get started. If you know where to look, you'll come across ideas a lot sooner than your competitors will. The challenge is, as you go further upstream, there's more noise. And so you've got to learn to separate the signal from the noise and find kind of that sweet spot in between these two. So down at the bottom in this pool here is the pool of common knowledge. This is also known as the red ocean. Here is where we know for sure there's demand for things because you've got hundreds of companies already fighting to meet that demand. But the challenge is here, it takes a lot of money to advertise because it is so crowded and there's a lot of competition. The further you go upstream to individual personas, the market's just not big enough yet. You might be able to serve onesie, twosie people, but it's typically not enough to make it a viable business. And so really between these niche communities and here, these are sources of information. Where do we find that information? Where do we find groups large enough, that niche large enough to justify jumping in and starting a business? So I want to start with some definitions. The most general term that we use, and this is how we internally define it. I think it's pretty common, but there are variations out there. So the most general term down here is the market. From the market, we go a little narrower to the niche. We define the niche as a segment of the market with similar needs that is the right size for your company to target given your resources. So that's a big distinction in how we define niche. It's the right size for your company given your resources and your ability to reach them. And then from there, you can go even more narrow to personas. And so with personas within the niche, a lot of times we like to have one-on-one conversation with personas to inform and look for trends that might be shared among the niche. But in general, we're going to focus on the niche level in all of our market research.
I wonder, does that make sense to everyone? Yeah, I think one of the important things to understand here is when you're at the market level, you're all things to everyone. But to go smaller to a niche is your product features are a little bit more refined and more specific to a subgroup in the big market level. So we're looking for the right market size to build that viable business in which you can optimize your features.
Does that make sense? Any questions? All right, let's keep pushing forward.
Jacob raised his hands, I think. Jacob, do you have a question? Yeah.
Are you talking like if I was going to make a water bottle, it would be a lot better to not just make a water bottle, but make a water bottle for like pregnant women to work out with specifically?
Yes, exactly. Okay. Exactly. Or I mean, it could be like a water bottle that's generic and aesthetically appeals, it's unisex. And then you go narrower, it's a water bottle for women, narrower, a water bottle for specific needs of pregnant women, right? So that's kind of
when you go with broad, there's thousands of water bottles out there, but is it they pull more people in because they're looking specifically at yours for the specific need that they have, even though it's smaller?
Exactly. I'm so glad you're asking this, because this is critical to understand what we're doing today, is because going back to that quote that Josh put up, it's better to have 100 people love you than all things to everyone, the Airbnb quote. Because the more specific you are to individual needs, the more passionate your buyers will be, right? Because you have a product just for them. But as a business, as a strategic business decision, the inclination is to want to be more generic because you don't want to limit who can buy your product, right? So that is the balance you're always trying to figure out, is how broad, how narrow, where do you fit in that pyramid?
Yeah, I love the questions.
Thank you.
Anybody else have
Appreciate
any? You bet. Any other questions while we're on this point? Love it. Cool. Let's keep pushing. So to Jill's,
The goal would be to build that niche over time as well, right? So through word of mouth or whatever.
yeah, and so you've got I can't remember the law, but it's basically the law of adoption of innovation. I'm butchering that because I'm thinking on my feet right now. But what you're trying to do with the early niche is find those super, super passionate early adopters that are going to grab onto the product. And then either through, really well thought out product roadmap that can go more broad or build supporting products over time as you reach, broader audiences through that innovation adoption cycle. That's one way to do it. Or it's, through word of mouth through that core product as more and more people talk about it. But, to start out, you want to make sure that you are just absolutely hitting a home run for somebody. And hopefully that niche is big enough that it's enough to get the business moving, prime the pumps with the revenue coming in.
And Michael, when you say build that niche over time, I think what you're referring to is be able to reach those people and create community around that niche. Is that what you're referring to?
Right, and the number of people in that niche, basically eyeballs will expand over time within that niche could become bigger to people who don't know the need to, they have that need.
Exactly. Yeah. That's very smart. It's like a lot of people have workarounds and they don't even know there's that unmet need because there's a workaround, right?
Right.
So over time, when you reach a bigger and bigger connect with your best buyer, you'll build your niche as you're phrasing it. Yeah.
Right.
Love it. All right. So one of the big questions I know that a lot of you came with is, how do we know how big the market size is? So we like to look at triangulating the market size. There's 3 different approaches. So top-down approach is to use published data and reports to obtain the macro view of the market. Then we can look at the demand side, and the demand side is using our own internal survey data or published survey data to extrapolate up what that market might look like based on percentage results in the survey. And then we have the supply side. The supply side is taking a look at all the suppliers, your competitors in the market, and adding what we think their revenue is from available resources to sum up to the actual market size. And then what we do is we pull what we know from all 3 sources together, and we triangulate the estimated market size for our product the best we can. And we're going to get into specifically how to do that. So the other thing I want to dig into is understanding what market size actually is. One of the biggest mistakes I see people getting excited about is a huge market. So they find out that the running shoe market, for example, is a $127 billion market, and then they shut their brains off. They're like, man, $127 billion, I got a massive opportunity here. But we all know there's a bit more to it than that. That might be the total addressable market, but Nike can't even capture 100% of those sales. They have competitors. We all have competitors. So those competitors want some of that action too. So the next up is we have the serviceable, addressable market. These are people within the total market that might care about your unique solution. So as we've been talking about niche today, this is what we mean by niche.
Mm-hmm.
These are people within the total addressable market that share some common pain point. And that's kind of what we're looking for our market potential there. Below that, we've got this serviceable, obtainable market. This is the realistic portion of the market that we can capture. It's depending on our resources, our ability to market to them, and the number of competitors that share or have overlap in this serviceable, addressable market. So this is where I see a lot of, like Jill said, she talked about this earlier, we see a lot of entrepreneurs struggle here because the temptation is to go broad and think, I'm going to get this whole dang freaking market. And it's just not possible. So again, the challenge is to kind of triangulate and figure out where between here and here is the right size for us to go after given our resources and find that sweet spot.
To add something to what Josh is saying is because if you're going to go after this whole market, your feature set of what you have to deliver is going to be, your product will have to be so highly engineered and so incredibly expensive that you won't come in at the price point you need to sell at, right? So if you, by determining your niche and what are those unique differentiating most important features to have and let everything else kind of fall away, that's how you're going to win, by connecting what's most meaningful to that specific group of people at your target price point. Does this make sense?
So moving on, let's start with the top-down approach. This is one of the easiest. Honestly, a lot of people overlook it, but purchasing data can be a simple way to do market research. If you can't find good available out there, there's a lot of companies like marketresearch.com that will sell package data. And this runs from about $3,000 to $10,000, depending on the data package that you buy. It's really good, valuable information if you can afford it, if you guys have the resources for it. Next up is just with a simple Google search. So in this example, we were searching for the home organization market. We found out that just by searching how big is the home organization market right there, it's $10.3 billion. So pretty straightforward information. This is true for a lot of markets if you're looking at that bigger total addressable market. Harder when you start to niche down, but if you want to do the top-down approach, really good place to start. One interesting thing that came up in this, and you can't see it, it got cut off, but the page that showed up below this said the title was Millennials Are Ready for Crafting. And so when you're looking at the market size, look for cues about generational trends and anything else that's ranking high on Google, because these are going to give you clues for where you want to start drilling down a little bit more on that serviceable, addressable market.
Yeah, so that, and just to clarify, it was millennials are ready for crafting, so therefore they need home organization for craft materials. That's what he found in his search.
Yep. The other thing we noticed is that this report was from 2019. And so again, just be mindful of that. Sometimes you can go in and refine your search and just say, how big is the home organization market in 2022? Be more specific and it'll come up. So we're starting with the easy stuff. First, this is where you can get some more interesting information. So you can use specific search parameters to dig into an industry that you don't know a lot about. And you can also use it to uncover what a competitor is saying about a certain topic or talking about their products. The reason we like to search for PDFs is people will often put more effort into a PDF and more information into a PDF than typical website content. So it's a lot more information dense. And you can get around the typical SEO efforts of companies by doing this type of search on Google. So a simple way to do it, you can go to, and you guys can copy and paste this verbatim. If you do site : and then just type in your competitor's name, let's say it's Nike.com or whatever you think your closest competitor is. Then you put in your topic. So it could be just industry trends. That might be your topic, or it could be market size. And then just put in file type PDF. It will only search PDFs available on that competitor's website. And you would be surprised what people leave laying around their websites that they don't think is available because there's no direct links to it, but they haven't turned off Google's ability to crawl it. And this is where it'll come up. The other thing you can do, yeah.
We're going to have access to this recording, right?
Yes. Yep.
Great.
Yep.
Thanks.
So the other thing you can do here is you can eliminate the site information, and you do want to use the quotations, and you can put in like industry report or running shoe industry report, or, home organization industry report, whatever you want to put there, but keep the file type : PDF in there. And it will search Google, again, getting around the typical SEO tactics of a lot of companies and get you typically good usable data that you can lean on to do this. Okay, next up, Google Trends. So we like Google Trends if you know how to use it. I'm going to pull up Google Trends right here. So a couple of the things that you need to do when you're searching on Google Trends is you need to set up the right view in order to make sense of this. We believe that there's kind of a Rosetta Stone. Google Trends doesn't give you much unless you're using it for comparison. And so if you drop in the terms, dental floss, we're going to use this. I like to go worldwide and I like to go all time, because that's going to give us a pretty good indication of broader trends. And again, we're looking to drive core business value, not looking for the trend of the week here. So then I'll throw in a few others. So we know that craft table is another one of those that kind of falls in this niche sweet spot. Travel shoes and cocktail. shaker. So Google lets you put a total of 5 search terms in. We recommend starting with these because this, again, it's your Rosetta Stone. So we can put in other terms, like if we do running shoes, for example, you're going to see it's going to obliterate these and basically flatten them out. So what that's a good indicator of is I'm looking now at a whole market, probably beyond my personal resources to go after a broad term like that. So this is my way of kind of eliminating this as a niche, knowing that it's too broad, but I can play around with different things here to see what happens.
So meaning it'll cost you too much money in your ad spend to reach these people. It's too crowded. It's too competitive.
That's it. That's it. There's and I'm not solving any specific problem, but we can play with this a little bit. So running shoes might be too big, but you know, let's try walking shoes. A little bit more specific. All right, that's coming in line. All right, so that might be a market that we have potential to address. And I've done this ahead of time, so I am cheating a little bit here. But if we
So the things, well, and the things that Josh has put in, the first 4 things are things that he knows are in a good sweet spot where there's enough need, there's enough demand, but it's not going to be too big that you won't be able to afford to reach people, right?
that's it.
You know, what's really interesting is you can really see COVID there, can't you?
You can.
Yeah,
Wait,
yeah.
it gets super
Pretty wild.
fascinating.
That is wild.
You want to see a funny one? Because you can see, so the purple's the travel shoes. You can see it tank during COVID, but what's funny is guess what goes up during COVID? The cocktail shaker goes up.
Yeah.
Here's another one that I've messed around with is, I think it's hair clipper. Watch this one go up during COVID. Look at that. So a lot of at-home haircuts right there. But what you can see too is you can, and that's part of the reason I like to go broad, is you can see that it's stable over time. And there is a very clear explanation for why it went up there, but it's dropping now back down to stable. So good to see. This is a great visualization tool to understand how a market's moving over time. One of the things I like to do too is I've seen a lot of companies broadsided by bringing a product to market that was seasonal that they didn't know was seasonal. And that shows up really quickly here. I'm going to go for a really obvious one, like Christmas lights. And you guys can see, like, that's what a seasonal product looks like. And I'll pick another obviously seasonal product, but you'll see, like, so seasonal products show up really quickly. Good to know. You might still want to go into that category, but at least you're not going to be blindsided. You can go into it knowing what you're getting into with that. So this is where Google Trends gets interesting, is as you start to compare, and then I'm going to show you kind of the next tool that we use a lot to understand broader market trends, and that is, oh, I've got to switch over to the right thing. So Helium 10. So these are, we use Amazon. There's 2 tools that are really well known, Jungle Scout and Helium 10. You could teach a master class, probably a month-long master class on either one of these tools. So I'm not going to do that. But what I do want to do is get into some of the basics that you guys can use to start to understand a market. So with Helium 10, they give you a free plugin through Google. And I think they give you 20 or 30 free searches per month. And so if you're a solo entrepreneur or small business, you can do a lot with the free tools. But I'm going to come here. Let's just pick up the like cocktail shaker one. Sorry, I've got this up from before. So if I'm looking at the cocktail shaker market, this helps me understand and put numbers to what the cocktail market is doing. So I'll click here on Helium 10. And then I'll click X-ray. So what this does, and this pulls data straight from Amazon, it tells me exactly how much revenue the top 60 listings did in the last 30 days in the cocktail shaker market. So total revenue, 1.23 million. I can come in here and I can sort by revenue. and I can see exactly who the top contenders are in this space. So this is a really good place to come to understand who the real competition is in your industry. But yeah, I'll just dig in. You can see what the sweet spot is for different pricings and how that translates into total revenue. Really fun to play around in. Again, I could teach a whole masterclass on this, but know this is here. This total revenue does exclude the sponsored listings. So this is just organic listings and top 60 for the last 30 days. So this is where Google Trends and Amazon get really interesting to pair together. And I don't know that anybody else is really doing this. If you look at, I'm just going to throw back in travel shoes, just so we can get rid of that. If we look at Cocktail Shaker, this green graph, we can see kind of the broader swings in the market. What Amazon's given me is just this little blip this last 30 days. So we can see there is some seasonality to Cocktail Shaker, typically around Christmas time. But we also know where kind of the neutral is. So if I were looking at this in December, where I'm seeing that spike, I would need to know to adjust the numbers that I'm seeing here on Amazon to kind of normalize that out. So that helps us when you pair those two tools together, it gives you a better snapshot of what the market's actually doing on a normalized basis. Okay, the other thing we look at too is when I pull up a listing for Cocktail Shaker, a lot of people blow past this, but this will tell us exactly how many results are showing up under Cocktail Shaker. We found that sweet spot. Again, this is true for small, medium-sized businesses. If you're Nike, if you're Adidas, if you're Google, obviously you've got to calibrate to your own resources. But typically between 1,000 and 20,000 results here gives you a niche that you can potentially compete in. So the next thing we want to look at is, I forgot to show you guys this. I'm going to go back to X-ray here. So this buyer seller rank, this is something a lot of people don't understand. All it is, it's the recent sales and historical sales data relative to other products in the same category. So if we want to see who's more stable over time, we can search or sort by this, and we can see that these are the most stable. Even though the revenue kind of varies quite a bit, these are the most stable listings over time if we search by buyer seller rank. So again, just another way to understand who your competition actually is. And it also gives us an idea. We can look at this one. You know, this is a very inexpensive Cocktail Shaker, moving a fair amount of units, but we might want to get in and explore this listing compared to this listing, for example, because the organic listings, both are going to be good. But what is one saying that the other's not, that's getting like insane revenue, like 10x the revenue compared to others? So again, all this is just an interesting way to look at the data so you can find anomalies, and then it's your job to go explore those anomalies and start to understand why there might be differences. Okay, I'm going to show you guys one other tool that's related to helium-10 while we're on it. I'm going to come back here. If we go and hit the X-ray again, what it's going to bring up is this Amazon ASIN. Oh, I hit the keywords, so I didn't want to hit the keywords. So this ASIN right here is a number we're going to need in Cerebro. So if you just hit copy, we can pull a few of these over, but I'll just do one right now. So I'm going to drop that in and get keywords. This goes backwards now. This will tell us exactly what keywords that particular listing is ranking on. And we can exclude that or use this to refine our search. One of the things that we may want to do is just say, look, we don't want to see anything with a search volume of under 5,000 and maybe over 100,000. Or we can also do it by organic rank too, but gosh, I went too aggressive there. Let's apply these filters. But this will start bringing in, okay, these are other keywords that particular product is ranking on. This is all research information. So if I'm looking for that sweet spot, again, going back to Google Trends, and I'm trying to compare, well, do I want to go travel shoes, fitness shoes, walking shoes? Like, what's that sweet spot? This is a really good place to understand, like, different, maybe potentially smaller niches that you can go after within the broader cocktail shaker market if you need to niche down. So dig into these. Again, you can sort. One of the ways I like to sort here is on the sponsored rank, because this will tell us which keywords people are actually paying to rank on. So it's a good indication as to which keywords are the most valuable for them, because we want to know what they're really going after hard. It's a good insight into what might convert and where the pain might be if they're willing to pay to rank on those.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Okay. And then the last thing we want to dig into, and I'm just going to hit you guys in the face with it, we won't spend a lot of time, but it's just doing the legwork. You just got to get in and actually read, for the top listings, read what keywords they're packing into their title. That's usually a good hint, because this is the H1 tag, so Google's going to put a lot of emphasis on it. Read their bullets, and then get in and just look at the reviews. One of the best things you can do, it's hard work, but just roll up your sleeves and dig into reviews. What you're looking for specifically is you're looking for known issues. You're looking for questions. I love to come into the questions down here and just see, where are we at? Where's the questions on Google? Yeah, right here. So nobody's asked questions on this one, but a lot of times you can find questions on Google listings and see what people are asking, because people don't ask questions that they don't care about. And so it'll give you a good indicator for where the needs are or what might not be clear about this particular listing. You're looking for patterns. One of the best ways to find patterns is break out your high price, medium price, and low price products, because the patterns will be different between those. If you look at them all together, it's a mess. But like I did a lightweight travel backpack. If you look at the lightweight travel backpack, those that are premium priced, $50 or above, the complaints and questions that people were asking about those bags were completely opposite the complaints and questions that people were asking about the $10 and under bags. And so you need to know where you want to play and narrowly focus on those competitors, so you don't get led astray in just this muck of all kinds of different questions.
Yeah, this market research that Josh is explaining is really really sets you up to understand your competitive strategy. And so that's something we get into in our product strategy sprint, is like how to take this information and create a very skillful, distinctive competitive strategy to win.
Perfect. Thanks, Jill.
Mhm.
Okay, so Google Trends and Helium-10, we talked a little bit about how you compare those two tools together for unique insights. Here's a couple of things I want you guys to jot down. That's a really interesting way to extrapolate the supply side of that triangle quickly. In 2022, Amazon had a 57% market share of all e-commerce sales. So if I come back to my cocktail shaker, I need to go back to the main listing. I've got my top 60 over the last 30 days. Using some simple math, I can figure out, because I know this represents about 57%. And again, I would go deeper because this is only top 60 listings. You can dig into deeper pages if you want to see like the top 100 or 200 listings. But knowing that Amazon has a 57% market share of all e-commerce, that helps me extrapolate out the total volume of e-commerce sales for cocktail shakers in a market. So it's giving me specific numbers for my market size. Then the other portion of this that you need to know, and this is generalities. So this is quick and dirty. You will need to dig in for your specific product, but e-commerce as a whole, and this was from the census.gov, website, e-commerce as a whole represented 14.5% of total retail sales in 2022, which was lower than I thought. But there's going to be certain categories, take automobiles, that are still going to be primarily sold in person, groceries that are still primarily going to be sold in person. So use those two numbers, 57% market share of all e-commerce sales for Amazon, and then 14.5% of e-commerce is a total of total retail sales, as just general guidelines to help work up to what your total market size could be. Okay, guys, we're running low on time, so I think we're going to end on this slide, which is too bad because we've got a lot of other good stuff to share with you guys. But here are a few other powerful additional resources. So niche communities is a really good place to look. And I want to give you a quick example in our last few minutes here. So I had a friend that had an idea to do a tailgate pad for mountain biking. He had a tonneau cover on his truck, and he couldn't put the tonneau cover and his mountain bike pad on at the same time. And he was convinced that this was going to be a home run idea. So I said, all right, let's do some digging. The first thing I did is I went to this niche community that I'm aware of, Mountain Bike Enthusiasts of Utah. Once you get into that niche community, which is a pretty large community, I just searched tailgate pad, tonneau cover. And sure enough, we can start to dig into what people are saying and asking to figure out if he alone has this problem or if there's other people that have this problem. And then to Jill's point, what we're looking for is workarounds. If we're consistently seeing workarounds, that's a signal that there might be a product idea there to solve. So it didn't take much reading to find out, and I'll let you guys explore this on your own, that there were some workarounds, but it really quickly came to the surface that one of the brands, Dakine, had a tailgate pad that already worked with a tonneau cover just fine. And so then I had to ask my friend, do you want to go head to head with Dakine on this tiny little niche market of mountain bikers? And, we quickly ruled out that no, that didn't make any sense. So niche communities, that's one place to use them. They exist on Reddit. They exist on Facebook. They exist on Instagram, Twitter, they're all over the place. So look for these niche communities. I really do like Facebook and Reddit. They're great resources for that. One-on-one interviews, just go talk to people, just show up at the target market. If you're a mountain biker, go show up with some mountain bikers and just ask questions. If you're looking at travel shoes, talk to people that travel. One-on-one interviews give you a huge asymmetric return on effort. Compared to almost any other form of market research, but you do have to, that's the noise. So you do have to make sure you're finding consistent patterns and talking to a few people. SEC filings are an interesting one to look at. So it's mandatory to report on risk profiles, and one company's risk profile is another company's opportunity profile. So this is another huge asymmetric return on effort, because you basically get a free mini research team that put together a report for you and had to file it publicly. And so leverage what teams with a lot of capital, a lot of resources had to put together for you. Pitch decks are another good place to look. You can find pitch decks all over Google. People, again, forget. Sometimes they post them publicly on purpose. Sometimes they forget that they're up there. So one of the things I like to do is use that Google file type PDF and search for pitch decks. And you can do those on specific competitor sites or VC firms, and just see what people are saying, because they've done a lot of work to pull together some industry trends and data, and might give you some ideas as to what people are looking at and trying to solve. Niche VC blogs. This is really interesting because you can find out about decisions behind investments. So a lot of times these VC blogs will tell you why they did or why they did not fund a certain product. And again, really interesting insights as to why a certain technology might be taking off or certain product might have legs and others don't. And then hedge funds and wealth managers, a lot of good public information. Look at markets that they're taking short positions on and see if they're writing reports about why they're taking short positions. Again, we're sifting through a little bit of noise here to find that signal, but what we're trying to do is look at a variety of resources to see if we can pick up that common signal that we can go and solve. So a couple of key takeaways. Most people spend their time in the pool of common knowledge. if you have information that other people don't know how to look for, you have an unfair advantage. You can get insights that you can leverage. There's really no secret data source that is going to tell you exactly where your next magic opportunity is. You've got to get in touch with your own sense of curiosity. And then you've got to know how to use existing tools a little bit better than other people to get leverage into those insights. So I'm going to pause there. We've got about 3 minutes left. I'm going to pause and ask if you guys have any questions. We blew through that pretty quick.
So
When are you offering your master class?
It's awesome, Janine. We do have the sprint. I'll tell you about it in a minute. Michael, did you have a question too?
I'm sorry, I don't want to interrupt. Yeah, I've got another meeting right at 2 o'clock, but I'll watch this, watch the recording here. But at the end of this, are you sort of pitching EVO's services throughout this process? Is that kind of tied in?
Yeah.
Here?
I'll jump in. It's a very softball pitch. I'm not big into big strong pitches, but basically what we have, let me just skip ahead a little bit here. Whoops.
I don't want you to deter from what you're doing with the group.
No, this is all good.
Okay. We'll talk and then we'll stay on for some questions after, Jill.
But I'd like to talk to you later.
Okay. Perfect. So what I'm going to do before you jump off is I'm going to drop in to the chat 2 links. So if you guys have questions, my phone is always open. There's my direct meeting link, just like my HubSpot Calendly link. Feel free to reach out and schedule a call. Happy to chat with you one-on-one about any questions you guys have. And then if you want to find out more about our sprint, which I'll tell you guys about in a second, here's the link that has the information on our sprint. I just dropped that into the chat. Right.
Yeah.
There.
So basically today, Josh went through one small aspect of how to create a product strategy, to know your product will succeed before doing any new product development. Anywhere you are in the process, though, it's incredibly valuable information because, I mean, I find that it's valuable to level up your skills, even if you're 3 steps down the path, you can still make good, amazing course corrections. So Josh just kind of gave away a lot of really amazing information here. But it's part of a bigger process, a bigger system to understand strategy and do market research to launch a winning product.
Yeah, thanks, Jill. Yeah, some of the next stumbling blocks or challenges we see people run into is once they start to get a good idea of what their market wants and needs, they've got a lot of information from the market research, is how do you then take that information and narrow it down to your critical feature set? And how do you leverage the 3 levels of product design to design features that actually meet clients' actual needs and emotional needs so you can be more impactful, reach them on a deeper level than your competitors? And, how do you zoom in on specific features and exclude others? Jill talked earlier about over-engineering products, and that puts you out of the competitive marketplace in terms of price and makes the product more complex and more prone to failure. So where is that sweet spot on the feature set, and how do you make those tough decisions between what your market wants and needs, the right size niche, and balance that with the feature set that really knocks it out of the park for them? So those are some of the things we get into with product strategy that are typically the next questions that come up.
Yeah, and the work really is like double duty to then understanding your marketing strategy. What are your key marketing messages? How your marketing strategy for the persona level, for the niche level, and all that kind of stuff. So it's really valuable to get this up front, I feel. Sorry, Josh is a soft pitch. I'm a hard pitch.
Jill's passionate. So I'll just tell you guys really quick as we wrap up. We've got, if anybody's interested in hiring us full service to get in and do all the work for them, it's not cheap, but it's very good. So we're typically between about $20,000 and $35,000 to put together a full product strategy package for somebody, including all of the research to back that up. On our product strategy sprint, we charge $2,295 for that. It's a 4-week sprint. It's cohort based. It's laser focused. We give you all of the tools that we use internally and all of our processes step by step, all of the frameworks we use to help you just go from one step to the next, from research all the way through a strategy that can be leveraged to compete and win. So that's really inexpensive, really fun. We love doing those sprints because people learn as much from each other as they do from us. And we typically get a lot of talented product designers and entrepreneurs on those calls. And it's just hugely valuable that way. Right now, just because we're having fun with trying out some new approaches, we've got a early bird special. So if you sign up for that sprint by the 23rd, that's a week from today, it's $795. So, I mean, basically a no-brainer. You can all but guarantee just in the time you'll save. If you prevent having to make one extra prototype because you were that much more focused on your products, you've already paid that $795 back like 3 times over. So it's kind of a no-brainer that way. That's how we wanted it. We wanted it to be a no-brainer because we'd love to have you guys all join us in that. The link again is in the chat, so feel free to hit it or just call me. If you got questions, call me. Happy to jump on a call and talk about specific situations anytime. So that's all we got, guys. Appreciate you joining us. I will stick on the call for another few minutes if anybody has questions, but otherwise it's been a genuine pleasure to have you here and hopefully useful for you guys.
Thanks, Brad.
Thanks a lot. I'm going to get a hold of you, Josh and
Awesome.
Jill.
Okay.
Appreciate it. Looking
thanks.
forward to it.
Thank you. This was great. Thank you.
Janine, any other questions for us?
No, I'm pretty good, thanks. It's a lot
Awesome.
of stuff to go play around with and experiment with.
Good. I
Yeah.
hope it's fun. I'll send out a link to the recording to your email after the call, so you've got it.
Great, thank you.
You bet. We'll see you. All right, guys. Looks like everybody's signing off. Thank you. It's been a pleasure, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.